This is the Ancient Texan, and I think I'm recording with some different software than I normally use. We will find out, or perhaps this will just be a practice podcast. I went to um, Perplexity, which is one of the AI systems, and it's pretty good for science. I use it in work. I also went to Elon's uh, Grok and put the same question in. And the question is, in what ways does Trump play the victim? I've got, a daughter that plays the victim quite often. I've got a stepson that plays the victim. I know quite a few people that end up kind of playing the victim. But now we're talking about the President of the United States. Does he play the victim? The most powerful man in the world. Does he play the victim? Here's what Perplexity said. Donald Trump has consistently used the narrative of victimhood as a central part of his political identity and communication strategy. The approach manifests in several distinct ways. Framing himself as persecuted by powerful forces. Trump frequently portrays himself as a target of unfair treatment by the media, political opponents, the justice system, and the so called deep state. He often claims that investigation, prosecution, and criticism directed at him are not legitimate, but are instead forms of persecution. Poor guy. He has all these people, and the whole system is against him. For example, he described legal actions against him as witch hunts and likened his experience to historical injustices like the Salem witch trials. Well, kind of not quite as bad since they got dunked in water and drowned. So I would say that he got the good end of that deal. He also aligns his victimhood with that of his supporters. Trump positions himself as a stand in for his supporters, suggesting that attacks on him are really attacks on them. He claims that the system is rigged not just against him, but against ordinary Americans who feel marginalized by elites. That is so full of BS, I can't even just read it. He is the elite. And yes, ordinary Americans are marginalized, like this new tax bill that moves money from the poor up to the rich. That's a form of injustice against us, wealth inequality. In speeches, he often tells his audience, we will be attacked, we will be slandered, we will be persecuted just as I have been, reinforcing a sense of shared grievance. And he even goes as far to say that he's Jesus and he's being persecuted. And people actually believe this stuff, which is even more amazing. He also casts himself as a martyr and a warrior. Trump sometimes adopts the role of a martyr, suggesting he is willing to endure suffering and sacrifice for the greater good of his supporters. He presents himself as someone who takes abuse so others do not have to, and as a warrior fighting on behalf of those who feel powerless. His rhetoric elevates his victimhood to the form of virtue, implying that his struggles are proof of his commitment to the cause. Wow, he's enduring suffering. He's made $3 billion. People put money in his Trump coin since his election. He's really suffering. Oh, poor guy. But people believe that he's suffering. Okay. It's kind of different than the suffering I kind of feel like I've had in my life. Okay, Trump deflects responsibility and criticism. By framing himself as a victim, Trump often shifts blame for controversies or negative outcomes onto others, opponents, the media, or the establishment, rather than accepting responsibility for his own actions. Well, see, Trump has never done anything wrong. He's perfect, and all his followers know that. He's like Jesus, kind of, is what they're saying. This tactic also allows him to justify harsh rhetoric or actions, arguing that his behavior is a justified response to being unfairly targeted, like the people that came across the borders illegally. They did it just against Trump. Uses victimhood to mobilize and solidify support. The more Trump's appears to be victimized, the more his supporters rally around him, viewing attacks on Trump as confirmation of the corruptness of the system he opposes. Probably Trump is going to go down as the most corrupt president that ever was. He's ripping our country off at a level that has never been seen before. He puts high tariffs on everybody and then has them come negotiate with him. Like in Vietnam, he gave them 45% tariff. He sent his son over to get a deal on a hotel and a golf course, and then he lowered their tariff. And that he did it right out in the open. So I'm like freaked out that his followers somehow think that's okay. This dynamic strengthens his bond with his base and turns victimhood into a political asset rather than a liability. This is just really amazing. It actually takes a whole nother level of stupid to fall for this, but he selects his people pretty well. Reinforcing a broader grievance culture. What does that mean? Trump's continued claims of unfairness and victimization contribute to a broader grievance culture where personal and collective grievances become central to political identity and motivation. All Trump supporters and Trump are all victims and they're all being taken advantage of. This approach encourages others to adopt similar narratives of blame and resentmenthood, further polarizing political discourse. It's like when I was a kid and somebody would get like, you know, trying to pick up a grounder and catch the ball in his teeth or something. Well, guys don't sympathize. They just come up with, I got hurt even worse than that. I got hit by the bat the other day. So it's a kind of like making victimhood into like a culture and just kind of reveling in how bad you got it. That's Trump, which is really kind of amazing. Trump's persistent use of victimhood serves both personal and political purposes. No joke. Helping him evade accountability, justify actions, and maintain a strong emotional connection with his supporters. Poor me. Poor you. We are being so mistreated, but I'm here to take care of you. You send your money and your votes, and I'll take the money and votes and I'll turn it into to billionaires just to help you. The billions, not billionaires. So I don't even know which of these supporting questions to answer or to look at the answer. What psychological purpose does claiming victim status serve for Trump? That sounds like a noble question. Psychological purpose of claiming victim status for Trump. He claims victim status serves psychological and strategic purposes for Donald Trump. Trump's rhetoric aligns with the concept of egocentric victimhood, where the individual believes they deserve more than they receive and attributes blame to specific adversaries rather than systemic forces. This narrative allows Trump to position himself as unfairly targeted by opponents, media, institutions, thus gratifying grievances and actions. Where I really see this kind of sucks on his part is everybody that's in, around Trump eventually gets kicked out, just like Elon has just experienced. And he always says, I'm going to get a great group of people around him. And then when something goes wrong, he blames it on those people. And he does the same thing over and over again. Brings people in, screws stuff up, kicks them out, blames the people, and then claims how he has a great team all at the same time. It defies rational explanation, but his supporters seem to like it. Mobilizing support and solidarity. By presenting himself as a victim, Trump taps into similar feelings among his supporters, fostering a sense of shared grievance and solidarity. This shared victimhood becomes a powerful motivator as supporters identify with Trump's perceived struggles and sees attacks on him as attacks on themselves. That must say that about 48% of our country sees themselves as victims. Deflecting responsibility. Claim victimhood enables Trump to deflect blame for negative outcomes or controversies. Yep, he is never to blame, that's for sure. Shifting responsibility onto external enemies rather than acknowledging personal default. Trump has never had anything that's ever been his fault. And if it's not his fault, then he makes it good. Like January 6th, a most disgusting day in American history. He says those guys are the ones that were abused. This psychological maneuver protects his self image and preserves his authority among followers. He is perfect. Emotional manipulation and political weaponization. The victim narrative is a strategic communication tool that can be hijacked to evoke emotional responses and manipulate public opinion. By consistently portraying himself as under siege, Trump stokes anger and resentment, which can be channeled into political loyalty and action. That's what's happening to you if you're in the Trump cult. But you don't know that because you're in a cult. That's a characteristic of being in a Trump cult or any other cult. Justifying aggressive or unconventional behavior. Victim status provides psychological cover and aggression for retaliatory actions. If Trump is seen as unjustly persecuted, his counterattacks or norm breaking behaviors can be framed as justified self defense rather than unwarranted aggression. They did it first. Everybody's attacking me, so whatever I do is okay. I don't have to follow the rules. I can break them all because I am such a victim. I am such a poor, abused person, just like you who are starving and can't pay your bills and can barely get by. I'm just like you in my Trump Tower, and you're willing to believe that. So I, Trump, greatly appreciate your willingness to buy that. Enhancing group identity and loyalty. The narrative of victims strengthens in group cohesion by drawing a clear line between us, the victims, and them, the victimizers, deepening group identity and loyalty Trump as the group's champion. In some summary, Trump claims of victimhood serve to protect his self concept, mobilize and unifies his base, justify his action, and strategically manipulate political dynamics for personal use and political gain. And what's even more amazing than that is that it really works. That is really amazing. This is not just hypothetical, this is how he does it, and it works. The cult Trump is based on Trump being a victim and all his followers being a victim. And they happily, you know, walk down the road and let him carry the cross, and they, go barefoot and get splinters in their feet. It's like I can imagine being talked into this as a kid, maybe even as a teenager. I did some victimhood stuff, done some victimhood stuff with women too. I am the victim here. Gave me an excuse to be an asshole. But I tried to kind of grow out of that and start taking responsibility. But Trump has perfected and optimized being a victim. Being a victim all the way to the White House while enriching himself with billions, giving himself tax breaks and giving crumbs to his followers, and they still worship him. That's what it means to be in a cult. Anyway, we'll see if this new software worked. This is the ancient Texan just trying out the new software and getting some stuff off my chest. And this, I didn't make this stuff up. This is Perplexity, a AI system. And I debated between doing it with Grog, another AI system, which said the same thing. Said this is what's happening. This is AI. I mean, what does AI know? Have a good one. Namaste.